The United States is coming closer to having a digital goods stockpile. But what does that actually mean? Is there anything like XRP in that store? In this movie, we will discuss all of those topics and more. There are a ton of fresh XRP news items that have surfaced. Let's get started now. Before I play this movie, I'll tell you a number of stuff you probably didn't know. Let's get going. Since the beginning of time, nations have been preserving commodities. Large economies now store anything from pigs to metal, resources like soybeans, precious metals like gold and silver, and energy supplies like oil. Physical objects or items that naturally emerge from the ground are therefore frequently stored. The first digital good ever created, Bitcoin, is currently the subject of our discussion. Furthermore, the procedure for storing digital items is a lot like that of storing physical goods. For a variety of reasons, including serving local requirements and regulating pricing on the global market, I don't believe that to be unfeasible. Goods are kept for themselves by nations. Nations hoard gold in order to influence global gold prices. They store oil in order to influence the global price of oil. Furthermore, I don't find it surprising that nations like the US would wish to maintain Bitcoin in order to regulate its global usage and, ultimately, its price, as well as to preserve resources for their own purposes. Alright, let's quickly review the situation. Bitcoin is obviously more prevalent in the US than, say, XRP. You could do a lot more things because of XRP, right? However, we will discuss that in a moment. In case you are unaware, the United States presently possesses around 395 million barrels of strategic fuel reserves. As of March 2025, there is a strategic national reserve that contains vaccinations, antibodies, and other items. Rare earths and other vital resources are stored in the National Defense Stockpile, Blue and Galania. I won't include them all here, but there are more. New YouTube videos or abilities. It discusses this as the word. I will refrain from saying that. They may decide to prohibit the video, just to be clear. Naturally, we also intend to store a great deal of other items. Is it better for people to start saving Bitcoin or Ethereum or US strategic reserves? In other words, which makes more sense when discussing equities of digital assets? Recall the primary objective of the Trump administration. Trump has stated his desire for foreign nations to utilize American technology, unless it was created by a three-letter body, which would lead to numerous other issues. Bitcoin is a US innovation. Then why Bitcoin, not XRP? For what reason would they keep Bitcoin? I wanted to focus part of my research on that. The United States stores digital commodities in this manner. This is the United States' most recent plan. Using assets it has reclaimed, the US is constructing a strategic Bitcoin store. According to recent executive orders, the government may seize these assets if you breach the law and have a lot of cryptocurrencies that they discover was purchased with stolen funds, or they may have been used for illicit activities like the Silk Road. The federal government and the state governments are the two types of government in the United States. The largest issue we are now dealing with is this. The government also controls a significant portion of this coin. So how can the government provide it? The federal government is the project they have been working on the most in the background. Although the government maintains a digital asset repository for other cryptocurrencies, it has no significant plans to purchase anything other than Bitcoin, which is a grave oversight. We recognize that Bitcoin is not necessary for the financial industry of the future, but wise decisions prioritize well-known, secure, and highly liquid assets, particularly those that are significant. We were informed about that. Everyone agrees that Bitcoin is a digital source of wealth, regardless of how much they own. It is not used by any digital gold payment rails. Why would the United States want to keep it so secret if that wasn't the main reason? You then begin to question why nations like the US wouldn't adopt Ripple's strategy and purchase XRP in order to establish their own on-demand finance mechanism, allowing them to hold on to the cryptocurrency for potential future appreciation. It can be used as the cash asset for the payment rails. It makes perfect sense. Some extremely intelligent people, in my opinion, will enter a room and begin discussing the various applications of Bitcoin, such as its usage as a digital wallet. Is there another thing? Does anyone else agree that we ought to purchase Bitcoin? Absolutely not. All right, let's examine XRP. How can XRP be useful? Bitcoin can be used to tackle the same issue. A digital store of value can be created with this technology, utilized to create bridge assets, convert cash assets into tokens, and make payments. You seem to begin with something. In terms of advantages, Bitcoin falls short of other cryptocurrencies, based on Ben Franklin's analysis of the advantages and disadvantages of various options. All right, Payments for blockchain infrastructure are the foundation of the U.S. government's blockchain policy. This policy emphasizes how crucial it is that the U.S. safeguard the resources that facilitate cross-border payments and digital value transfer. Is that what Bitcoin sounds like? Absolutely not. Due to its strong network value and fixed quant ID, Bitcoin remains the basic reserve. Although Ethereum is not located in Switzerland, it is frequently discussed as a fundamental programmable object for tokenization. XRP is in a unique position to be utilized for real-time settlement, on-demand liquidity and payments, because it is already in use by institutions and has been acknowledged by recent government and industry pilots. That is the most sensible course of action. It makes the most sense when you consider what Ripple has accomplished thus far. Alright, I was going to show you. Over $17 according to President Trump. Trillions will be invested in the U.S. However, I'm thrilled to learn that nearly $17 trillion will be invested in this nation over the coming months. We actually began the day we arrived. The 5th of November was a significant day. In many respects, it was Freedom Day. Different ways of emancipation exist. However, I don't believe any other nation has ever had what we do. More than $17 trillion will be invested in our nation, far beyond current spending levels. You may rely on us to examine this channel's positive, negative, and ugly aspects. My goal is to gain more knowledge about the 17 trillion sows. As of right now, there is no evidence to back up the assertion that the U.S. has spent $17 trillion. The amount appears to be a huge falsehood based on announcements made during the campaign. The actual amount is between $2 and $5 trillion, according to the majority of reliable websites and fact-checkers. But it goes beyond that. Vows, investment plans, and other long-term strategies are beneficial for up the vast majority of the $17 trillion. It is therefore unlikely that this money will be invested anytime soon. This is going to be around for a while, 5 to 10 years from now. Furthermore, most of these commitments are not legally binding, either politically or aspirationally. Therefore, there are typically no immediate legal repercussions if a nation breaks its financial commitments to the U.S. Stated differently, every nation is free to express itself as it pleases. They are able to create any of the promises appealed to them. Nothing can be done if they don't follow through on their promises. Therefore, constantly focus on what occurs rather than what other people say. All I have to say about it is that many individuals in my community have been discussing the $17 trillion that is entering the U.S. economy, but I haven't been able to locate any solid proof. I wanted to inform you that in order for the U.S. to maintain its position as the leader in digital banking, the Services for Finance GOP believes the Senate must approve the Clarity Act. The Republican-controlled banking industry is now informing the U.S. and the rest of the globe about clarifying digital assets is one of the most crucial things that must be done immediately in our environment. This will therefore be an issue for both sides. Without the efforts of Republicans, this might not have been completed nevertheless. I give them a tip of the hat because of this. Lee, I want to express my gratitude for all of your efforts in making this possible so that we can all be happy. New regulations will allow